Hello and welcome to the Warhammer Podcast, episode 109. I'm your host, Brad. This is my co-host, Eric.
How's it going?
And we have a very fun episode today. This one has been our most requested ever in the grading series. I think it's been on several episodes' top comments. But we're going to be grading every faction's Terminator this week.
Yeah, it's finally time to talk Terminators.
I will say, going into this, I was thinking that it's going to be kind of rough to do the episode because it's such an easy assignment that everyone's going to score so highly on. Like, it's a very common type of unit, model type, data sheet, however you want to look at it. But then I was thinking about real life, and sometimes school assignments are easy on purpose.
It's true.
They can be really hard to screw up and work more like an attendance test than anything.
Well, it's just like have you been paying attention to the last 6 weeks of what we've been talking about at all?
So let's do a very basic test of sorts and see who can submit the best homework.
Sounds good.
Alright, to start things off, we're clearly going to use the Space Marine Terminator. It just got a new updated kit. It's a very standard looking data sheet. Through and through, the Terminator is a classic part of 40k. You've got your basic 5-inch move, 5 toughness, 2 up save, 4 up invuln, 3 wound. Very similar to most editions.
Yeah, they've also got like actual weapons and melee profiles, so like it's not just here's a wall, it doesn't do anything.
I would say their melee profile is more important than their ranged one.
I would agree it's expected for Terminators to be able to slap in melee, but I feel like there is some expectation of like, yeah, it's gonna have something as it's moving up the board. It's not gonna be a literal nothing.
Well, Assault Terminators don't. This is where I get into the like, guns is very optional on a Terminator.
Yeah, I feel like maybe Grey Knights is clouding my judgment just a little bit, but I always expect like, you know, at least some type of gun as they're moving up the board very slowly. But the primary is, yeah, once they get stuck in, the opponent's gonna have some troubles.
Speaking of very slowly, should we bring up Deep Strike too?
Yeah.
They do have the Deep Strike core ability, and it's a pretty classic part of Terminators. Like, the new kit even has, like, the Teleport Homer as a cute little model thing, which the rules on that will change edition to edition, blah, 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 but it kind of gets to the point that teleporting down Terminators is, like, a key component of 40k.
Is very much why the melee is more important, because you Deep Strike them in, and then you're trying to charge for, you know, closing kind of thing. So there isn't really any lag period of, oh wow, they have a 5-inch move. But I'm not sure that Deep Strike is like the biggest part. It's just another aspect of what makes a Terminator kind of thing.
We'll call it bonus points when it shows up.
Yeah, you need to have the like toughness, save, wound, defensive thing going on.
And you should have the general look. You should be a big chunky boy.
Power armor, oof.
The actual stat lines are going to alter a lot from faction to faction, just because stats are a lot more fluid in 10th edition than like 9th, where I could almost for every faction tell you something with the Terminator's exact defensive stat line.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's always going to be the Aeldari elves.
Even they had an exact duplicate, or I think they may have 1 wound different. So we're looking for the actual aspects on the model as well. So let's get into all of our submissions here. AdMech even gets to bring something halfway decent for a change.
I mean,
they're big chunky boys. They move slow. They're tough.
if you count Cataphren Breachers as a reasonable... I hate this model.
I really like the Breachers, honestly.
They're just so stupid that they're infantry. But I have to accept that my personal opinion doesn't matter. This is grading on what makes a Terminator. You're right. This is a solid submission.
I mean, personal opinion always matters because teachers are always going to be ultra subjective on certain grades.
It's true. That's true.
I'm still mad about the fuck yeah Sea King scenario.
Oh my god. Yeah.
I'm still mad about it over a decade later.
It was fucking hilarious though.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, so the Breachers, I mean, stat line wise, they are damn close to Terminators.
it's a unique take on them.
They trade a worse save for better toughness.
Yeah.
And they have a pretty decent melee profile available to them. They've got actual really good shooting.
Yeah.
They don't get the deep strike bonus points, though.
I feel like the 7 toughness versus your 5 is, like 6, 5 is pretty fine, but like 7 starts hitting a different threshold. But the fact that they have a worse save is one of those where it's like, all right, together, the higher toughness, lower save kind of balances out into being that like chonky, tanky kind of thing. So it's just like a fun little take on it, but I think it washes.
I've got the extra thing of like, I'm okay with you showing off your Terminator and going above and beyond defensively. Too low is flat out. Like, if you're too low in every category defensively, no. But if you're too good, like your Terminator is just built better than Space Marines, I'm not going to take points off.
Within reason, I feel like. But yeah, no deep strike and treads.
They've got 2 treads, you've got 2 feet. It's not that different, Eric.
All right, Cataphron Breachers are looking pretty solid. Their melee weapons are pretty nice, especially if you're up against vehicles. Ooh, let's go.
I'm going to give them like a B+.
I'm okay with that. I don't think it's A tier.
I feel like if we go through this series, I'm pretty sure I've given some variety of a B to AdMech through some amount of bullshit every time. I feel like I always give them a B in some way.
They're very cool models, and honestly, they show off like what AdMech's doing. Like, this is a unique take on Terminator, but it's still kind of doing the same thing. So it makes sense, but I do feel like a bit of our bias is showing on that. Let's move on, though, to Custodes.
Custodes get Terminators. They have the Alaris Terminators.
Yeah.
They're just better. As Custodes tend to be.
Yeah.
Same stat line, but tougher. And they have the same deep strike. They've got normal Custodes smashing melee. They've got the incidental shooting that's mediocre, just like Space Marines. This is what we're looking for.
Yeah. I feel like it's too much, honestly. It's 7 toughness, it's 4 wound, and it's still got the same saves that are insane. It's just too much.
I don't have an issue with it because it's still just a Terminator.
I feel like the Custodian Wardens are a Terminator. That's just better.
That gets into the Custodes stat line, but...
Right? Like...
The problem is they lose on the visual 100%. They're nowhere near what a Terminator looks like. They look more like a tactical Marine with a banana on his head.
With a banana, yeah. I mean, they're like kind of specialer tactical Marines. That's true.
If you paint a tactical Marine gold,
yeah,
with the oversized shoulder pads that make them look like a child in cosplay.
The shoulder pads are like the thing that's like, oh, it makes them buff, but...
They always look tiny. It looks like tried to wear dad's shirt.
Yeah.
But no, I gotta give it to Alaris Terminators. I think they are definite A material. I'll let you go from A+ to A.
They're not. No way. A- at best. They have an entire extra wound in addition to being 2 more toughness.
I don't have an issue with being too good at being a Terminator.
I do. At a certain point, you're like not a Terminator anymore. You're something new and stupid.
I don't think this crosses that line.
It does. It absolutely does.
Like, just looking around at several of the other Terminators here, Space Marines just aren't the toughest faction.
It's true.
Okay, we can go A-, because I do think it's the most extreme outlier of the ones that I would give an A to.
Yeah, okay. It is just better Terminators, but I feel like it's so much better that we can't give them full. Like, you've cheated somehow. Like, it's even got 2 OC. Like, come on, man. A-. Do we want to move into Sisters?
Yeah, sure.
Because, not expecting much.
When you need a lot of extra material in order to look like a big hulking Terminator. I appreciate the effort that went into their assignment.
I do as well, especially because, like...
They knew this was an uphill battle for them. They knew they do not have what it takes to do this one naturally. So they spent all night with paper mache working on this.
Oh, hell yeah, man. And I think the Paragon Warsuit's actually kind of interesting.
It gets damn close.
Yeah. I mean, it's got same save, a little bit higher toughness at 6, higher wound 4. Melee, solid.
They have the same thing with Space Marines of like very basic and the options for higher tier weaponry.
Yeah, but like they've still got shooty stuff, and in melee it'll do its job. I mean, it's a walker, but like at a certain point, how much power armor do you have? Like, where's the cutoff between
between Walker and Power Armor.
Yeah, right? Like, this is clearly a Walker, but...
I still want to give him... We gave Custodes an A-. I almost want to give him an A-.
Oh, okay.
Stat-wise, they're closer.
Yeah?
They obviously tried their hearts out
They
to
did.
do something they are not equipped for.
I mean, it was one of those, like, thinking when we were doing this, like, Sisters was, they don't have, like, chonky, like, they're a trade-oriented run-up, kill stuff, and then die kind of thing. But this is a solid attempt. Okay, A-. I'm good with it.
It might not usually get up there, but I see so much effort to get outside of Sister's normal wheelhouse in this that I'm willing to do it.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, it's time for you, Eric.
Yeah, Grey Knights.
Obviously, the correct answer is not to pick the generics and instead go all the way up to paladins to actually, like, show off. This is why I'm okay with showing something too good at being a Terminator, because that's the paladins.
Okay, compare the paladins to your fucking Custodes.
But Custodes aren't psychic.
Sure, they just have 2 extra toughness and an entire wound. There is a too good thing.
To be fair, the Custodes also get less models in the unit, which makes the extra wounds. But that gets into math. And who does math in 40k?
Not me. Definitely not, especially since I've been playing Orks more and more. But the Paladins have basically the right stat line. It's a Terminator. They got ranged weapons and their melee's okay. When we get our hammers back, it'll be great.
You almost screw up the melee, huh?
It's close. Like, it's not.
It's rough.
It's not a great melee. Like, we need the hammers as the other option.
You're just straight up 2 less strength. For no fucking reason.
I mean, we have better weapon skill.
Oh, yeah, I guess paladins do.
Paladins do. The Termies don't. But, like, it's still a fine melee. It's actually not that amazing. It's not doing anything better.
I honestly feel like it scores lower than the Custodes.
I think it does.
Which is funny.
But not by much. Because, I mean, it's still got Deep Strike, and it's, like, clearly a Terminator.
They are Terminators. They're literally wearing a Terminator suit.
It's a Terminator, except it's got a little bit fancy stuff on it.
I was going to say B+, but I'm going down to B because you still forgot the middle part of the model. They're just so short.
Oh, come on.
So short.
That's not... I mean, they are.
Are they a Votann unit?
No, they are like slightly larger than new strikes, essentially. Like,
slightly off topic, I half want in next week when we go to my brother's house to play, grab one of your Termies, crack him at the waist, because they're just glued top to bottom there. Crack him at the waist, and when I put together those 3D printed Terminators, they had the spacer that goes between the waist area and the top torso, and that spacer gives them a torso, and I wonder if I could just have my brother print off like 40 of it, and we just crack all your Termies, drop it in there, slap some super glue, and see if we can just make all your Termies new Marine sized.
It's possible. I mean, I feel like there's going to have to be some changes to the dimensions. I don't know. I'll have to look at what your spacer actually, but
I want to look at it. It's an interesting idea.
Especially given that, like, I like the way Paladins look until they're up next to a new Terminator or anything like that, and it's like, oh no.
I love them chest up. The problem is they have no stomach, which is why they always look so small. And I think their legs are slightly short. And they have the widest stances, which makes them feel even shorter.
Yeah, I like the stances. It's just that makes them look shorter because, you know, you're just further down essentially. But yeah, fine. You can go with a B. I feel like B+. But we'll be better once we get that hammer. Well, if we had the hammer, I would argue that we're in solid.
If you had the hammer, I'd say A-, take your pick. Honestly, I might even give you the whole A+, because you hit like every point other than that.
Yeah.
If anything, it's that you're too cool.
There's a lot of coolness going on. One day we'll get our hammers. But let's move on to Astra Militarum. Do they have Terminators? You know, the power suits.
What if we made the power suit out of meat?
The organic version of a power suit.
Free-range Terminators available at a farm near you.
That's kind of scary. Yeah, Bogrins.
I love the Bulgrin.
I mean, this is probably the closest that we can get.
You're not getting Terminators for the most part.
You don't have power armor. That's like the whole fucking thing. You're just guardsmen that were drafted.
We can see the attempt that was made.
I like it. Yeah.
I don't know if I can go up to a B.
Well, I don't think so.
It matches basically nothing. But, like, they've got wounds and high toughness.
Yeah. The save's not complete trash.
We're not talking about the save. It does have a feel no pain to kind of make up a little bit.
And then you've got the shield, which gives you the invuln.
Yeah, okay. So as long as they've got AP2, we're doing good. Okay, maybe it is just straight up a B. They even do more damage in melee than you guys. What's wrong with Grey Knights, Eric? A Bulgrin is a better Terminator than you. What's wrong?
Yeah, it's pretty close. I think these are pretty solid. They don't have the looks like...
I almost think shape-wise it does work. It is just a big fat dude, just like Terminators.
Sure, but a Terminator is a power armor wearing thing. Come on.
Look at that man's guns. The huge arms on that guy. That's power right there.
It is.
And he's wearing armor.
And he's wearing armor. Yeah, technically.
I'm going with a B.
I think it's B minus. It doesn't have deep strike.
Okay, B minus.
It's a really good attempt. I like it.
I really wanted to give him the exact same rank as Paladins, though.
Yeah, that would be funny.
Knights, you showed up today, and I'm proud of you for that.
But you didn't remember what the actual assignment was.
This is the 10th time you've tried to submit the Warglaves.
One day, it'll be the right submission. But as of right now...
You may have gone a bit too far with 10 toughness.
12 wounds.
There's only one, so really when you divide it over, it's actually short on wound count.
Yeah. The 12-inch move, a little bit more than double.
Ironically, your save is too low. Out of everything you did too much of, you forgot to get a good save.
Oh, classic Knights.
Look, C minus. C's get degrees. Just settle for your 70.
I guess, yeah. Like, they shouldn't, but...
Good enough. You showed up and we're proud of you. This is how we try to boost grades.
And again, this is supposed to be the easy assignment. Like, there shouldn't be any Fs. So, fine. Give them their little boost.
All right, let's move to Chaos.
Oh, Chaos Demons, huh?
I actually had a couple choices here. I mean, they had a couple assignments they could have submitted here, but they went with the Blood Crushers, which I think is a valiant attempt. Everything in Demons, because the stats can be so wild.
Especially their whole save structure.
It's hard to nail down an exact.
Yeah.
But these had the Deep Strike. They had a 4-up invulnerable save. They're tough. They've got a lot of wounds. They're, like 3 to a squad. Good melee.
Yeah, they do pretty good melee, so...
It's not the best melee, but because of the mounts, it's a huge number of attacks where it partially makes up for not being high enough strength.
Yeah, I mean, they move way too far and they're literal mounted units, not they're not power armor wielding dudes.
If you took the Bloodletter off of the Blood Crusher, they'd look pretty close to a Terminator on all fours. It could be a Space Wolf Terminator.
Honestly, you're not wrong. Yeah. I didn't think of that. It is kind of like what you would expect a Terminator on all fours to, yeah, especially with that little bit of demonic corruption. Yeah, okay.
When we get to World Eaters, it's not great.
It's not great. C+.
Sure. Yeah, C+ is fine.
There's ideas happening with the Deep Strike, and you tried your best with saves. You're Demons.
For how weirdly different it is than Space Marines in most aspects, it's nice that they had something in the ballpark.
Yeah. Speaking of in the ballpark, let's move to Chaos Knights.
Oh, we're back to Knights.
Welcome back, War Dog. I haven't seen you for a while.
Just get back into the C-. We can move on.
One day. Okay. CSM.
All right, CSM's cheating. It's the only one I allowed to repeat generic Terminator because Chaos Terminator is technically different, but it's a Terminator through and through. It's an A+. They copied their homework, but they got away with it.
As much as I like the idea of Terminator equivalent, but don't give me an actual literal Terminator, I feel like CSM is the one that can get away with it because it is Chaos Space Marines. They get to have the Space Marine thing, and they did have a slightly different take on it, but it's Terminators. Like, all right.
Death Guard had multiple options, but I went with the cooler one rather than the one that is just a 5-man Terminator squad but green and with the toughness. So we went with Death Rod Terminators.
Yeah, there's something to be said about being tougher and slower for a Terminator.
You managed to beat him in both of the things.
They still keep deep strike, at least.
Yeah, and they've got sick-ass scythes.
They do.
I love their scythes.
They're actually pretty good, too, kind of thing. It's not one of those where it's like, oh, you gave them a cool weapon and made it so much worse.
It's literally like a power fist, but you can choose a mode that is less bad at trying to get rid of chaff.
Yeah, and it's got the same kind of thing of, like, these are just better, like, the Paladin of, like, 2 weapon skill instead of 3s. So, like, honestly, Death Shroud Terminators are pretty solid in melee.
I'm going to give them the A, knowing that they could have just submitted Blight Lords if they wanted it.
But yeah, I like it. Let's move on to Thousand Sons Brad.
The A+ of all A+. Scarab Cult Terminators, baby.
Okay.
Get better Terminators. Get on my level.
Yeah, basically. Honestly, the Rubric Marines on their own aren't far off, so it makes sense that, like, your actual Terminators are good.
If I was banning actual Terminators, which is just stupid to do when half the factions have Terminators, it wouldn't be bad to submit, but, like, it's still lower in multiple categories on, like, basically everything. But it is very close. Like, it follows the formula, but at a lesser rate.
Which shows why, like, okay, the Scarab Occult Terminators had to be better than the normal Terminator, because, like, your baseline Rubric Marines were already, like, reasonably close. So,
I mean, we're basically just a Terminator, except with Psychic.
yeah, and actually, like, have Psychic, which is
Enviable, isn't it?
yeah, just a little bit.
A+, I am perfect in every way.
I was gonna go with just an A, but
A+.
sure, you can take it.
Now, World Eaters are in trouble. In the lore, you've got Terminators, and yet you tried to submit Chaos Space Marines homework. So we made you go back and actually submit your own work. You did a halfway decent job, but don't try cheating in the first place next time. Get some proper Terminators.
Yeah, get some more models. But we've got the 8-bound, or Exalted 8-bound.
Either or, it does not matter for this.
I don't think it does. I mean, I guess Exalted would
Exalted, get the Deep Strike.
Yeah, Deep Strike. So, like, what's graded off of that? What's not take away points for not having Deep Strike?
Slightly worse save, but they get the Feel No Pain.
Honestly, the save's not that much worse with the Feel No Pain.
I bet the Feel No Pain math-wise ends up almost identical.
With the extra toughness, it might actually be slightly better. It's definitely depending on, like, what they're up against kind of thing.
Yeah.
They move quick.
They move way too quick. It is the oopsie.
Yeah.
Melee's great.
Melee is fucking on point. No ranged, but I get it. Like, you move faster, so you don't need to worry about the whole ranged thing. I get it. I'm a little disappointed, but your melee, god damn, that's scary shit.
I want to give them an A-, especially because, like, I want to encourage them to do their own homework and to stop trying to steal from CSM and to have proper models in their range.
Yeah.
Games Workshop, come on.
And, like, they look like power armor, but with, like, they ripped off the shoulders kind of, you know, like the...
Yeah.
I'm just so cool. I ripped the shoulders off of my t-shirt and look at my big guns.
But only one. Everyone keeps one shoulder pad to remind you that they're a Space Marine.
Right. Right.
Or you'd forget.
You would forget.
They all have their Terminator hoods.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really think of that, but it is true. They do have that still. Yeah, I mean, it's solid.
A- them.
Aeldari.
Shockingly good homework assignment if we're taking the Wraith Blades, Wraith Guards as a whole.
Yeah.
It's one of those Xenos things where, like, you can't have an all-rounder. You have to pick one loadout.
That's true. And there was some expectation of, like, you're gonna not really have anything tough because you're an elf, right? Like, but yeah, the Wraith Guard, well, really it'd be Wraith Blades.
Wraith Blades have the better melee. We'll use them. No Deep Strike, no Invulnerable. You move slightly too well, but you've got the higher toughness to make up for the no Invuln. Generally a good assignment, though.
Same wound. Yeah.
I want to give you a B+.
Well, so they do have the Invuln with their Force Shield.
Oh, right, because the melee one gets the shield.
Yeah, which is why it was like, I feel like the Wraith Blades, you know, they've got the melee, they've got the...
Then they're very close with the Wraith Blades.
Yeah. The real problem being no deep strike.
Again, to me, Deep Strike is bonus points. It's the like push from A to A plus type thing.
Yeah.
Man, they are very close then, huh? They're definitely B minus A plus territory. They at least get to B. They're no lower than that, but I'm just wondering where.
I think it is a B. The melee is not actually that good.
Yeah, that's true.
It's solid, but they miss a lot.
Yeah, okay. B's pretty fine.
I think so. I mean, it's way better than I expected. I expected that this was going to be like the, compare it to the Knights. How do we... kind of bad, but solid attempt.
Are you ready for the shock of all shocks? Drukhari showed up today and brought a halfway decent homework assignment.
Yeah, what do we got?
The Grotesque, which you can't even buy on GW's website, so I had to get the picture for the show notes off of a random Google page. Ooh, Drukhari, please give us a range update, please.
Be careful. You could get Harlequined, but we'll get to that. Grotesques? I mean, it's...
Ironically, they still move too well, even when they're the chunkiest thing in the army.
Yeah, they got the right toughness.
Right toughness. Save isn't good, but they have the feel no pain. So, like, invuln-wise, they're probably about right. The problem is the actual save.
The actual save being a 6-up instead of a 2-up is like, all right, yeah, they got an extra wound, so, like, sure.
Helps a little. Their melee has a lot to be desired, though.
Yeah, wow. It's shocking how bad their melee is.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
It feels like it should be good.
Where do we put them, though? Do they make it to B minus, or are they in the C's somewhere?
It's either C plus or B minus.
Who was our last C plus?
Did we give that to Knights?
No, they got a C minus. C plus was Blood Crushers. I feel like this is a B minus then.
Yeah, sure.
It's closer than Blood Crushers in several categories.
And given this is Drukhari, you did a shockingly good Terminator for being Drukhari, so like, okay, I'll accept that. Harlequins.
Harlequins, are you here today? Bueller?
Yeah. The closest thing I could think of was fucking Skyweaver.
No.
But like,
we're not doing that. We're not grading that.
I think it's better to just have not submitted anything than to try and submit that. So like, yeah, they were being rebellious on this one.
One day they'll get their paperwork finalized and either return to the school or get changed away.
Fuck. They're being sent to the farm.
They're being sent to Old World with Beasts of Chaos.
Yikes.
The worst fate.
The worst fate.
Having to play with Old World players.
All right, then. Let's move on to Votann.
So the Hearthguard are essentially just Terminators, but short.
Yeah, essentially. They've got an extra toughness because they're short.
But they lose a wound because they're short.
Their melee's better.
Their save is reliant on a war gear. They can deep strike, but that's also reliant on a war gear.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you can't take both.
Yeah, you can only take one or the other. And like, you're going to be taking the invuln if you're trying to be a Terminator.
Oh, only the one gets to take the invuln.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, their shooting is actually not terrible, but whatever. It's solid. It's Terminators, but we shrunk them.
It's Terminator-esque. There's little differences here and there. Do they make it to A minus, or are they in the B's?
Oh man, if they could take both of them with Deep Strike and keep the invuln.
Invuln on one of them at least.
Yeah, it'd be like, yeah, we're an A minus, obviously.
Probably just a B plus then.
It's probably a B plus. They got really nice melee though, like smack people around. I wish I had that kind of hammer. That'd be nice.
Man, it's called a hammer and everything.
I know. B plus. I'm jealous.
You're jealous you still put them above where I put the Paladin.
I know. It's terrible.
These ones have hammers, though. They're closer to what a Terminator should be.
They're closer to what I want my Paladins to be. All right, Brad, let's move on to Necrons, huh?
I'm not defending.
What kind of Terminator does Necrons have?
They're shockingly close with the Scorpex.
Sure.
As far as the wildly different Necrons go, this isn't too bad. I almost went with LiQWYD.
Yeah.
I felt like it was disingenuous to do LiQWYD when Scorpex are the chonkier, bigger guys. LiQWYD are physically, they don't feel Terminatory. I'm aware stat line wise, they nail a lot of points.
Yeah.
But I felt like it was wrong. I almost feel like I could argue LiQWYD to like solid BB plus territory.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
They have they are a wound off.
I thought they had bad bad save comparatively as well. Nah, they're 3-4.
They're close. The problem is they don't really slap in melee, but Scorpec do.
Scorpec do, yeah. That's a lot of attacks. And 7 strength, yeah, it's doing the job. But Scorpec, the rest of it, other than the attacking and melee, they move a bit too quick. Do they have a way to get an invuln?
No, they don't get an invuln. They're about the offense.
Okay. Yeah, not a great save. Wounds, you're fine. I mean, I guess, like, they get reanimation still because they're Necrons, but, like, that's kind of cheating.
Yeah.
It's not great, Brad. It's not great. It could be worse.
I'll settle for like a C+ on him. I feel like LiQWYD was more the play, but it felt wrong from the physical standpoint, so I didn't want to use him.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Because, like, they're just basically, like, skeleton dudes with some shoulder pads, essentially.
Yeah, they're small.
At least Scorpec Destroyers are a bit bigger and, like, they got big blades kind of thing. All right, yeah, C+, man. It's not great, but it's a fair take from Necrons. Let's move into Orks.
Should we talk about the shocking student in the room?
Orks. Let's go, Orks.
The constantly underestimated child.
It's great, the fact that Orks get to basically, like, steal everybody else's shit and call it their own.
It's like the football player who's a bit too much of a class clown, but still submits like constant B's.
Yeah.
Like the whole time. Just to break in out of those tropes.
Ah, the Meganobs.
I don't think it's their best showing. I feel like they are an invuln away.
If they had an invuln, which, like, you could say, oh, but it's the Y turn.
Yeah. That's like the...
It's the Necron reanimation bullshit.
Yeah.
Nah, it doesn't count.
But honestly, other than that, they hit like every point.
Yeah, same move, toughness a little bit better. The base save is actually being a 2+ is, like, shocking.
And when you get down to it, like, lore-wise, this is literally what Orks see Terminators as.
Yeah.
Which is adorable. They're even stumpy and short and need a kit update, just like Grey Knights for real.
That's a little too hard.
Eric, why are all of your armies incapable of having taller Terminators?
God damn, that's brutal, man. I mean, you're not wrong, but, like...
The only thing saving my sots secretly is we have our giant headdresses to compensate.
Yeah. I was like, the sots are not any bigger. It's just you put on a big hat and are like, look at me. I am fucking Abraham Lincoln. Get shot, idiot. I mean, the Meganobs, their melee is awesome. I love their melee profile. Dude, those twin kill saws. Ugh, chef kiss.
And the garbage orc shooting doesn't matter too much here because the Space Marines weren't doing much better even with a better accuracy.
Yeah, but, like, it was one of those, like, they have guns. Good enough, call it. Kind of thing. Like, you still get to have some DACA shooting. The invuln is, like, the problem. I still want to give them a B+.
I honestly almost say A-.
All right.
It is only an invuln, isn't it?
Well, it's the deep strike as well. But, like, you know, it's Orc. You know, like the class clown that you're like, yeah, shockingly, you know what you're doing. So, okay, A-.
Yeah, all right, we do it.
Tau.
Crisis suits.
It's all they got. Like, I mean...
It's all they got. Sometimes you throw a softball and one student still can't do it.
Yeah.
Or they're knights and you just don't expect they're ever going to do it.
The fact that they submit something, even though it's the exact same answer every time, is like, all right, participation. Good job.
You got the right general shape. Decent size comparison. Toughness is right. Save sucks. Wounds is slightly too high, which helps with the save sucking.
Yeah.
You move way too well, but you are Tau.
You are Tau. I mean, they do sort of get the invuln with the shield generator, but, like, then can only have...
Yeah, that gets into a whole thing. So I guess you could make the save not suck too bad, get worse shooting, and just fail the assignment because of no melee to speak of. You do have Deep Strike, though.
You do have Deep Strike.
You're way too fast, though.
God damn that melee. Like, it's funny because I was thinking of, like, is there any way Tau could do the melee part? And it's just Commander Farsight. He's the only option to have anything melee in Tau.
Yeah.
So, like, we're not Crisis Battle Suits, man.
They are clearly making an attempt. Do they only make it in the C's, or can they pull off a B-?
I don't think so, man. C+.
All right.
You don't have melee. Like, technically you do, but, like, you don't.
It's unarmed. And the move is ridiculous. Turbojets being the ability makes it more ridiculous.
Yeah, and then like you have to swap some other stuff if you want to get your invuln. They do have deep strike though, but like
All right, C+.
it's a C plus. But I feel bad because there was like you were never going to get this assignment right. So Genestealer Cults, this one could be another problem.
I think they did a halfway decent job because they have a huge feel no pain.
All right, fair enough. Yeah.
The feel no pain is ridiculous.
The Aberrants are probably the best choice, and that feel no pain does help because their save is basically non-existent. 5 up, yay.
What's the math on a 4-up feel no pain versus a 4-up invuln? It's just more reliable, right? Like it just averages easier?
I think so.
In my head, that's how it works, but I would have to actually sit there and poke at a calculator to make sure.
But like you would have the save at this 5 up or whatever, and then you would roll essentially your 4s versus just rolling the 4s. But yeah, it's actually like a pretty solid take on, you know, the save profile.
Yeah, especially considering like these are like guard minus on actual toughness scale.
Yeah, right.
So having something this close where like slightly tougher, much worse save, the 4-up feel no pain makes up for the lack of the invuln. They've got the deep strike, they've got the 3 wounds. They move like 1 inch too good, but that's fine.
That's fine.
They have really decent melee.
Solid melee, yeah. Especially because they get the extra attacks with their tail, so it's just like that extra little cherry of...
Only the one gets the tail.
Oh, okay.
It's just the sergeant has a tail.
I mean, that makes sense given the models.
Yeah.
It's good. This is a lot better. Like, I hadn't really thought about the feel no pain being like, okay, this is your invuln.
How do you feel about the guy with a pickaxe having a better melee profile than a paladin?
Well, you know, it's just kind of expected at this point. I mean, you know, that's just how it is, right? They don't have the power armor look. I know you defended the Bulgrim, but like...
Size-wise, they're there. They've got some exoskeleton going on, but I can't really go against the fact that they are naked.
Yeah, they're not knights, but they're not really looking like you would want a Terminator to look like. But otherwise, honestly, it's a solid attempt. A minus?
Yeah, I'll give it to them. A minus.
Yeah, that was shocking, honestly.
Shockingly, I think they're doing better than the next up, our final entry being Tyranids.
Tyranids have a lot of options.
I didn't even use warriors who I think hit the toughness wound count on the dot, but those ones obviously had the terrible save. They actually did okay on most other categories.
So like one of the problems with Tyranids for this type of thing is like
they like the extremes.
They like the extremes. It's either a swarm of trash or it's big scary monster. And the Terminator is the elite general unit kind of thing. And Tyranid doesn't really fill that position very well.
No, to me, the thing I always look at and think of it as their Terminator is the Tyrant Guard, just from a visual aspect.
Yeah, that's true.
The Tyrant Guard, unfortunately, stat line wise, are really weird.
It is weird.
They've got a huge toughness at 8, but their save is just a 3-up with no invuln as a defensive protector unit.
Right.
Very strange.
But like, they also get a weird feel no pain if they're part of a...
No, the character does.
Oh, the character does. Okay.
It's that they have the bodyguard ability. It's so that you can't snipe a character out.
Oh, man. It's not a good... They get an extra wound instead of like 8 toughness, 4 wound, but just a 3-up save.
It's a weird one, isn't it? They've got good melee.
They do have good melee.
Moves about right. Nothing really going on weird.
No deep strike.
No deep strike.
No, like, extra little, like, oh, hey, let's push it over the top.
I almost want to say they're like the flattest C.
I think so, yeah.
They're not as bad as something like Knights. But, like, I don't even think this one gets as close as, like, some of the C pluses we've had.
Honestly, it's got a solid, like, look to it for what Tyranids would be. But if only they had something a bit more with that save.
A 5-up invuln even would do a lot here.
Yeah. All right. A C.
All right. Well, that does wrap up all of the factions here.
Yeah, Terminators are honestly pretty ubiquitous. I like a lot of the different takes that exist though, because like my worry about doing this Terminator one was just like, oh, everybody just takes a Terminator, but they put a fancy book on the model, or they put a headdress on the model, or you know what I mean, like
yeah,
that's just fucking boring kind of thing. So it was nice to have some differences and like the unique takes.
The ones that make me happiest are like when Xenos that are wildly different still have something quite comparable.
Yeah, those are always the shocking. Without really thinking about it, the immediate response was, oh no, that's going to be terrible. And then like you start looking and it's like, oh no, actually that's a solid attempt on what a Terminator's doing, or what, you know, this Space Marine Imperium thing's doing. So always fun to take a look at some of these. And don't forget to let us know what the next big thing you want to do is, because yeah, like you said earlier, a lot of people were asking for the Terminator one. Check. What's next?
Oh, and while we have your attention, we're very close to 100,000 subscribers at the time of recording this. If you're the type of person to make it all the way through our hour-plus long episodes,
thank you.
Could you do us a favor and check that you're subscribed if you like us?
I feel like if you made it through an hour, you probably should look at the whole subscription thing, even if you don't like us, because clearly there's some type of relationship happening here that, like, you're gonna want more for whatever reason that is.
Even if it's a bit of a hate fuck.
Yeah. You know what? That's okay.
And also, for 100K, we're probably going to do what we did at 40K, where we do like a big QA meta episode, talk about whatever questions people have, Warhammer-wise, us-wise, whatever. Do a bunch of silly/serious questions back and forth. It should be very fun. I'll put up a post on the YouTube for that for everyone to go to when we get close, probably some point this month. So keep an eye out for that, which would be easier if you were subscribed.
It's true.
Also, at the end of the month, the week of April 29th, the book club episode will be out for Fall of Cadia. The wife and I just started it. Quite excited. Already have some comments about the audio, but we'll get to the episode.
Yeah, it's coming up. Actually, not too much further away. A couple weeks. So you have your time to read it.
All right, but I guess other than that, we've got merch.
Yep, right, merch. Hey, take a look at the shirts and the hoodies and, you know.
Buy the shirt. Buy the shirt. They joined the merch site. They don't even know how to sell merch. Buy the shirt. Look, there's 2 shirts. Check out this shirt. Buy this shirt. This shirt's great. It'll be beautiful. It's amazing. Look at these shirts. Look at both these shirts. I got more than just shirts. I got hoodies. I got hoodies here. They're great. They'll make you have sex. You'll get sex with this merch. It's true. Brad has a wife. Buy the merch.
Oh, and if you're on YouTube, there should be a shiny new credits because Borrelio definitely did what I told him to do this week.
Yeah, thank you everyone for, you know, all the massive support, but that did mean we needed to change how we were doing the credits.
Yeah, there's a lot of names now and it could get hard to read.
Yeah, so we're trying something out different. Let us know.
All right, and other than that, we can head out of here for the week.
Sounds good.